Hey guys, so I'm going to do this video for you on the MUE 2470 Etude. The way that I'm going to approach this is I'm going to sort of dissect every measure, and after that we'll play it. So this is sort of an informal video to try to help you get some additional help on anything you might have questions on. So the first measure, you got this. So for that roll, that's a 9-stroke roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is your sticking, but with the rolls. So that's where we get the 9-stroke roll from, because it's 9 notes. But we're going to do them as press rolls, so it'll be. So if you were to count it, it would be 1 E and 2. So 1 E and 2. From beat 2 to beat 3, you have 2 E and 3. So you have a dotted rhythm there. 2 E and 3. And as I go through this, pay attention to the sticking that I use, because that's going to be your recommended sticking for your playing test. So the first measure, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and one more time. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and so that's that measure. And I am taking it a little bit under tempo right now, so if there's anything that you missed, of course, because this is a video, you can rewind it to any point and work on the stuff that you need to work on. Okay, second measure. Okay. Okay, so you have 4 flams and they're 8th notes. 1 and 2 and. You should alternate these. Okay? Right, left, right, left. And a reminder is, if you have a right-handed flam, that means the right hand is the high hand, the lower hand is the left hand in this case. Then left, then right, then left. So 1 and 2 and 3 E and. Now for the 3 E and, we're using right, left, right, because if we had 4 16th notes, it would be right, left, right, left. So we're leaving out the last one, so it'll just be right, left, right. 1 and 2 and 3 E and. 1 and 2 and 3 E and. 1 and 2 and 3 E and. Simple enough. Okay, now we're going to go to measure 3. You have a half note roll. So this is going to be a 17-stroke roll. And I played the downbeat of the 4th measure. So if you take the roll out, it would be 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4, or and a 1. 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 1. Put the roll back in. So right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right is going to be the sticking we use. The way we come up with the sticking for beat 3 is, if we had 4 16th notes, it would be right, left, right, left. But we're leaving out the first left. Right, right, left, right. So that's where we get it. We're trying to keep everything straight sticking, or right hand lead. So right hand lead basically sort of indicates that every time you have a downbeat, that's going to be the right hand. And then if you have groups of 16th notes, then the beat and the upbeat, or the and, will be on the right hand, and then the e's and the uhs will be on the left hand. If you're playing 8th notes, then the beat will be the right hand and the ands will be the left hand. Lock that into your memory. So measure 3. Okay. Measure 4. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and. So let's talk about this. Really, technically, you just have 3 quarter notes. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and. Now the reason why I'm playing those quarter notes with my right hand is because for the drags or the roughs, we're going to use the left hand for those grace notes. So technically it is alternating. Right, left, right, left, right, okay? So on the grace notes here, it has specifically 2, so we're going to try to play 2 notes for the drag. But at your level, you guys being all new students to this stuff, you can get away with playing these as a press or a buzz. So if you can get 2 notes in there, great. If not, at least do the closed version of it. And I want to remind you that this is an articulation. It's not a rhythm. So it's not 1 E and 2 E and 3. It's not that. What it is 1 E and 2 E and 3. So they are grace notes. They're not really timed. They just need to happen very close to the proximity of the beat. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and. Okay, so now the first line is completed. Let's go to the second line. Measure 5. So first beat, not too big of a deal. Right, left, left, right, left. So 1 E, 2, and 3 E, and. So in beat 3, you have a 5-stroke roll, which is stroked out that way, right, left, right. And you double it up for the 5. So that's 5 notes. But in our case, we're going to do it as a closed roll. So, right, left, left, right, left. And the way I'm coming up with the sticking for beat 1 is that same principle I've talked about a few times already. You have 4 16th notes, so you have to represent all 4 of them, but what's happening is in the 3rd 16th note, you actually don't play anything, and that would normally be a right hand, so we just leave that out. So you're going to play right, left, left for that rhythm. Right, left. Okay? That shouldn't be that big of a deal. Measure 6. You have 3 beats of 16th notes. I'm going to play them without the accents first. 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 1. So that in and of itself shouldn't be that big of a deal. So what you have to pay attention to is making sure those accents pop out where they're supposed to. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1. So what people usually have a hard time with is that left hand accent that happens on beat 3, on the E, 3 E and 1. So you have to exaggerate it and make sure your right hand doesn't float up with it. That's a real common thing that people do. And by the way, all the things that I'm talking about in here, it's not just to help you with your etude here that you have to play for a playing test, but the things that I'm talking about here are also things that you can look for when you're teaching other students. Okay, so measure 3, not measure 3, 5, 6, 7, measure 7, or the 3rd measure of the 2nd line. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and. Now notice that the sticking's different here. So you're going to start with your right hand. It doesn't have it written there, but you can start with your right hand. So that's 1 E and. That's the first beat. And then beat 2 and beat 3 are the same rhythm. Now if you got 2 rights in a row, but then it doesn't say a 3rd right, then you can assume that it's going to be a left hand. And the rhythm is 3 E and 4 E and. So that measure altogether is 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and. Okay? And then measure 4, or of the 2nd line, or 5, 6, 7, 8, measure 8 total, it's going to be this. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and. So start with your right hand, and then you can see the double that's written with the left hand there. And because there's no 3rd left hand in a row there, then you can assume that they want you to go to the right hand. And the rhythm there is 1 and 2 and 3. E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and. Okay? Alright, measure 9, or the first measure of the 3rd line. So you have 3 beats of a roll. So the way you're going to pulse it or count it is you're going to go 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and. So that'll be. Hopefully that's not that big of a deal. I can understand if you're still working on your roll technique, but the counting stuff you guys should have down at this point. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E Okay? Then the measure after that, measure 10, you have a half note, so that means you're going to do 2 beats of the roll, and then you're going to stop on beat 3 with a quarter note. 1 E and 2 E and 3. So that's going to be 1 E and 2 E and 3. Okay? So I'm going to put those 2 measures together because it's a connected phrase. So you're going to do measure 9 and measure 10 together. Okay? 1 E and 3 E and so 3 beats of a roll in measure 9, and then that roll continues on in measure 10 for 2 beats, and you stop on beat 3. Okay? All right, hopefully that's not a big deal for you guys, and I'm not doing dynamics at this point. I was just playing the rhythms. Okay, measure 11. So we talked about the flams earlier. Alternate them. Right, left, right. 3 E and a 1. 1 and 2. 3 E and a 1. 1 and 2. 3 E and a 1. Okay? Okay, so now we've dissected every single measure. So normally what I would do at this point is start putting 2 measures together at a time. For the sake of the video, we're not going to get into that. But what we're going to do is I'm going to play this etude a few times at a slow tempo and maybe a moderate tempo and give you an opportunity to play along with me if it's helpful to you.